Hi guys, welcome back to my XPS guide. Now I'm gonna review Lucius. So let's start from his stats. So his stats, I must say, it's just okay. It's pretty good. He gets 200 static attack boost, so that will make his attack stats really high. And remember, he also gets abilities awakening and latent abilities. So yes, his passives gonna be much better compared to other characters. And yes, I must say his Brave Shift form is also quite powerful because he gets 100% human, demon, and undead killer. On the normal form, he only has 100% human killer, 50% demon, and undead killer. Okay, so his normal form is a little bit less powerful than his Brave Shift form. And yes, the great thing about him is he restores health from damage dealt. But again, this is needed because some of his abilities gonna use health as the cost. Okay, so this will allow you to refund your health, but again, because the consumption is very little compared to healing, then you will able to keep his his health to full even when you don't have healer. And he has fatal damage protection, but it is just too bad on normal form it is only 80% chance. It is quite high but not reliable. Okay, so that's all about his stats. Now let's take a look on his normal form abilities. On normal form, he is Divine Ruination Chainer, and it is AoE attack, and Bolting Strike and Aerial Ray Chainer. So I can say only Bolting Strike, which is meta chaining family at this point of the game. For Divine Ruination, I cannot think anyone beside Tifa who is great on Divine Ruination. So kind of bad Divine Ruination this. And for element, he able to imbue dark and fire element. And the best part is he also able to imbue those elements to all characters. So it is not for himself, but it is for entire party. And yes, he also able to imperil those elements by 100 to 120%. So pretty decent. And on his normal form, he can become your main breaker if you only fight against single enemy. Okay, he has 75% all stats break, so I must say quite nice for one enemy. But if you fight multiple enemies like Score of Antenola, then it's better to bring main breaker like Lauren. And for Granny's ability, I must say this is trash. Okay, you can only use this for 2 times, but take a look on the effects. They are not special or anything. Re-raise for himself, 50% health. What? Maybe the only useful thing you get from this is 100% fire and dark resist. This is good when you need it, but for cure all status ailments, cure stats break, what? Why do you even need this? For example, cure all status ailments. So if you get paralyzed, okay, if you can be, I'm not sure whether he has, yeah, basically if you get like stats ailments stopping that able to stop you, then you won't able to use this. Okay, so this is kind of bad. And if you really need all ailments resist, then you will bring a buffer who able to do that. So this Grandiose ability is trash, like I said. And if you take a look on the damage, wow, they are not amazing. Okay, for the Fire Ruination, it is old relic chaining family, and the damage 55 times. I can understand if they, let's say, increase the damage to like 180 times, but it is Divine Ruination and the damage is way lower to compared to Stardust Ray, Bolting Strike, which previous Neo Vision have. Okay, so this is pure trash. Sure, it is AoE attack, but that may be a drawback on Dark Vision too. And for Bolting Strike, yes, you're able to do that, but if you take a look on the damage, it is also trash, 48 times. It is pretty unacceptable on today meta. Okay, remember that, yeah, most Bolting Striker can chain like 70. Yes, I know Baltier only 50 times, but really this 48 times, it's kind of bad. Okay, why do you need to use Bolting Strike when there is status rate. Okay, I know if you have Starlight Elena, then you may need chaining partner, but again, this damage is low. So I can say that this normal form is bad. I think the only reason you use this is because you will be forced to use this, because his Brave Shift duration only 4 turns and you will go back his normal form. So I think on this normal form, what you need to do is use this form for a setup like Imbue, Imperil, okay, and yes, Curse of Dawn or Dash to imbue your allies' elemental attack. And yeah, luckily you only need to spend 2 turns on this form. After that, you can go back to Brave Shift form, and his limit burst is also trash, so don't even bother. So let's take a look on his Brave Shift form. So his Brave Shift form is much better compared to his normal form, okay? But the main drawback is his Brave Shift abilities, offensive attack, some of them use health, okay? So this is where his passive gonna be useful, because yes, the cost quite high, 20% health. So if you don't have recovery, that health absorbing mechanism, you will be lower than 50% at the end of the turn. So that's why it is really important to equip his Trust Mastery Word or STMR. And on this form, he also able to become breakers using his limit burst. Okay, his limit burst can break 80% all stats for all enemies. So this one is good, but again, you cannot use this on the first turn. So yes, I don't advise you to use him as your main breaker, especially if you fight against lots of enemies. Okay, and for element, he can imbue fire and dark element too on this form. And yes, the good thing is this form, he able to buff himself, buff his fire and dark damage by 15% more. Okay, so yes, you may say, oh, he is true dual wielder, you don't need to worry about elemental imbue. But again, because he has this 15% damage up on his abilities, you still need to use this. Okay, and his Imperil only come from his cooldown ability, so it can be troublesome if you need to dispel or whatever. And again, for Grandis ability, I must say this is, I cannot say for sure, okay, because maybe some of you know the hidden secret about this, but from what I look, this is very bad. First of all, this Grandis ability cannot be combined with any of your other abilities. Okay, based on wiki, you cannot triple cast this with other abilities. And yes, the damage only 120 times. So it is pretty low on today's standard. And remember, this only can be used once even if you are true dual wield characters. So what 120 times? As a comparison, if you remember Cardin from last year, he can deal 99 times. Yes, so it's only 21 times better. What? Yes, I know this Imperil and give you killer, but again, I don't think this is that great. Okay, so please correct me if I'm wrong on the comment section, but from what I look, it is not that good. But don't worry, because I can say this form is much better, because his bolting strike damage is improved significantly. On this Brave Shift, he has Shadow Assault. This Shadow Assault deal 80 times damage, so it is much better than your Crushing Barrage. So with 80 times, I can say that he is one of the best bolting strike on this game. But again, the bad news is he cannot stay forever on his Brave Shift form. Okay, and the rotation is also quite simple. Simply use Intimidating Rage and then Blazing or Dark Illusion to imbue and improve your fire or dark damage, and then Shadow Assault. After that, you simply spam your Shadow Assault. Okay, the enemy probably gonna be dead already. But if you use him as a breaker, make sure you use his limit burst. Okay, so that's all for Brave Shift form. Now let's talk about equipment. For equipment, it is not that complicated because you only need to focus on true dual wield and attack stats. That's it. After that, focus on killer against the enemy's type. And yes, okay, you don't need to worry about elemental weapon because like I said, you want to use his imbue ability on the battle because get 15% damage up. And yes, there are also many good fist equipment. You can use Cartin Trust Mastery Word, and if you try to if you try to get Lucius at this point, then it's high chance you have obtained Cartin along the process because of high rainbow rate on this banner. And maybe if you use him as your breaker, then faster LB rate is quite important to make sure you able to maintain that 80% breaks. Okay, so that's all for equipment. For partner, he is good when you pair him with another bolting strike, maybe yes, like Starlight Elena. And Starlight Elena is also very good because she is a true dual wield character, so you simply need to equip fire weapon or dark weapon on Starlight Elena, and tada, she able to become good chaining partner with Lucius. For Baltier, for example, Baltier also it has non-elemental bolting strike chaining, but again, Lucius able to imbue him with fire or dark element. So I can say they work quite nice. And for Defy Ruination, of course, the only partner is Tifa. But really, you want to use Tifa as Defy Ruination Chainer? I don't think so. Tifa is LB Finisher. So if you use her as a Defy Ruination Chainer, then you are really wrong. But again, if you have, let's say, a party like Tifa, Yoshikiri, and Lucius, then you can work, okay? You can work together. When you need to use Tifa as your LB Finisher, you can chain Lucius with Yoshikiri. Okay, so enough about partner, now let's talk about trial. For trial, it's also good. He can be used on most recent trials, okay? Again, Shinryu, Coral, and Intangir, but I think for Intangir, he gonna has some problems. Actually, not big problem, but remember on Intangir, you need to dispel Intangir buff frequently. So against Intangir, you want to have a character who able to imperil Intangir easily, and Lucius is not one of them because yes, your only source is from cooldown abilities. Once you use cooldown abilities and dispel it, you will fight him without imperil, and that's not good idea. And also remember, Lucius doesn't have innate beast killer, so without imperil, I don't think he is that good against Intangir. Against Scorn of Antenola, I can say he can be useful because remember he has AoE Defy Ruination chaining move. But against Antenola, you want to ask your friend because yes, you also want another AoE Defy Ruination chainer, and it is only Lucius. Okay, you cannot use Tifa for this one because Tifa Defy Ruination only single target. So ask your friend, and you can try to defeat this Scorn of Antenola using Lucius. So enough about trial. My conclusion for Lucius, I can say that he is probably the best Defy Ruination chainer, but actually maybe not the best because if you remember Tifa Defy Ruination Final Heaven, if you max her damage modifier after using setup etc., she deals 76 times damage. So yes, you can see how bad his Defy Ruination is. Okay, only 55 times, and I know it is AoE attack, but still, it is pretty low on today's standard. And his redeeming quality may be only human, demon, and undead killer. And yes, if he uses Bolting Strike, his Brave Shift Bolting Strike is, let's say, I can say it's on par with today meta. But his normal form it is low, only 48 times damage. Okay, so like I said, use his normal form as a setup and Brave Shift as his DPS mode. And another good thing about him is he has good Trust Master Reward and STMR. Maybe not that great, but if you have character who use Fist as their main weapon, then the STMR is really good. Okay, 50 to attack, really high, and 50% attack boost. So with 50% attack boost, you can save one ability slot, replace it with killer, so he can deal awesome damage. And yes, the negative things are his damage modifier is low on normal form. That's really bad. And use health when attacking. Yes, I have said it is not a big deal, but let's say if you are on critically injured on the battle, actually it is not that big problem because your healer can heal you on the first action of the battle, on that turn I mean. Okay, but let's say if your healer die and you need to deal finishing blow, this can be dangerous because he consumes 20% health and he consumes it first before draining the health. But again, like I said, it is not a big problem. Okay, so I can say he is maybe not that interesting. Okay, I can say that Grim Lord Sakura is much better compared to him. Okay, he is like simply a bonus or redeeming, simply PT reward if you don't get Grim Lord Sakura. Grim Lord Sakura is good, but this one is just okay Neo Vision unit. So yep, I think that's all you need to know about Lucius. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more Final Fantasy Private Fuse Guide. Bye bye guys!